I don't know how I feel about Mr. Spritz Goes to Washington. There's one bit of this that I really loved, but it's a bit of a spoiler, so I'll discuss that at the end of the spoiler warning. But the episode as a whole, I didn't hate it. I certainly didn't dislike it, but I think it's one of those episodes where, while I don't mind it, I would never choose to watch it. This is the 14th episode of the 14th season of The Simpsons, directed by Jim Reardon and Lance Kramer. And the air traffic path has been redirected so that it goes over the Simpsons' house. Now, I will say it's a little bit peculiar that the Simpsons are struggling with this, but it doesn't seem like anybody else in their neighborhood is having an issue with it. But that aside, they decide that something needs to be done about this. So they end up persuading Krusty to run for Congress so that Krusty can get something done about rerouting the airplanes to somewhere other than their house. And I don't want to say any more than that. I don't want to say exactly what happens, but I feel like it was interesting enough for a one-time watch. I've seen it a few times now, because it's not completely predictable. But once I'd seen it once, I feel like the entertaining bits they'd been and gone. I knew what was going to happen, so that element of mystery was no longer there, and I didn't really find anything else about it that fascinating. There were a few good lines here and there, but for me, not as many as the average Simpsons episode, particularly from around this time. I know season 14 is not the most highly rated, but actually, I've quite enjoyed this season. But this episode, even though it's not a bad episode as such, I wouldn't say I'd enjoyed it very much, except for one bit, which I will discuss in a moment. So there's not much more else I can say about it, because I don't feel strongly either way. I don't think it's terrible. It is watchable. There are a couple of funny bits, but I don't think it was the best episode. It's not the strongest. It's not the most well developed. For a one-time watch, because of, the unpredictability, it was okay, but after that, it kind of just lost its appeal. So the spoiler bit, this is a really big spoiler actually. I'm going to discuss what happens towards the end, because I really liked how it was executed. And the bit that I love, that's a big spoiler, is how they were able to get the bill passed. And I don't know if that's genuinely a trick in Congress, but it seems like it could work. And I just love seeing it all come together. I love the role of the janitor in this, and how, the people you don't think can have the keys to these big solutions are actually the people with the most knowledge, because they're the ones on the ground. They see the day to day. And I love that. I think that's definitely really something that's worth remembering in most situations. For example, who knows more about how a business operates, the business owner or the people who actually work on the shop floor or on the restaurant floor? Those people know more than the people who are supposedly in charge, which I thought was a nice kind of message. But I just loved seeing that being executed and the sequence come together. I really rather enjoyed it. So it wasn't all bad. And even with it, watching it a few times, I still found that to be quite interesting. So it's not a bad episode. I probably wouldn't mind watching it again. I wouldn't skip it, but I can't imagine I'd ever intentionally select it